Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. Today I'm going to lay out my case against contractors on the crimes they commit against their crews. And you get to be the jury. You get to decide whether I'm full of beans or not. So let's get this thing started. Okay, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I am tired of contractors and their management teams forcing me to be mediocre. Okay? You don't have a clue how to drive the organization you're putting together in the office down to the field. That's my contention. Now, I understand. You might have a 4-year degree in project management, and I'm proud of you for that. Okay? But your 4-year degree does not negate the 20 years the guys you're directing have in installing material. And here's a big surprise for you. You don't get paid anything unless that material gets installed. Anything else that happens on your project besides material getting installed is fluff. Okay? You only get paid for the material that gets installed every month. Now, I don't want anyone to misinterpret me and think that I don't think an education's important, because I do. Okay? My own son has a construction management degree. Very proud of him for that. But that doesn't mean that, you can do this alone without that team out in the field. There's some pretty sharp people out there too. My name, if you don't know, is Dennis Thomas. I am about to start my 45th year in the electrical industry. Now, back in about 1984, one of my co-workers, when I was a young foreman just starting out, criticized me on my management skills. Told me I wasn't worth a darn, basically. And I didn't really get mad at him about that. I actually thought about it, because I thought I was pretty good. All right? But after thinking about it, I decided that guy was right. I wasn't a good manager. All I could do is yell and scream and point my finger. And that event sent me on a decade, at least a decade, of self-learning, okay? I read everything I could find. Scheduling, crew management, management principles, conflict resolution, motivation, negotiating, estimating, just anything I could find. Code. I studied code so I could value engineer my projects better. Anything that I could think of that might make me a better manager, I read that and studied it. I even borrowed textbooks from my friends who were in college. And I also promoted to be an estimator. I worked as an estimator for a while, and I worked as a project manager for a while. It wasn't where I wanted to be, but I wanted to understand those positions so that it would help me better manage my projects in the field. That's where I like to be. I'm still there, although my projects are much larger now and often include much more than just the electrical portion. When people ask me when I'm going to retire, I tell them I'm going to die in the cab of my truck, on some cold, dark morning waiting for my crew to show up. That's how passionate I am about it. And in about 1994, I had finally put together a system of crew management that worked very well for me, gave me consistent results, and also my crew liked, okay? They were happy on my projects. Now, current practices in the construction industry are kind of what has me frustrated, because I think that contractors, in an effort to try to be more profitable and more organized, are trying to manage their projects from the office. And it's not working, okay? You need to make that connection with the crew. You need to drive that organization, okay? You need to put your organization together in the office. I'm a big fan of that. But you've got to drive that down to the lowest apprentice on that project in order to have consistent, profitable results. Another thing that I've noticed is that positions seem to have slid some. So, what used to be an apprentice, now that's a lead man. And what used to be a lead man, now that's a foreman. And foremans are superintendents. And I don't know how this happened, but I think that companies are using titles as compensation. So instead of, raising your wage, we're going to raise your title and make you feel more important. And they've taken away their responsibilities. So, in my day, when I was a young foreman, I'd do a takeoff of my own project just to get my material list and establish labor hours and make my own schedules and, match this up with my project manager before material got sent to my site, so he wouldn't send me material I didn't want, right? Everybody has their own preferences on material. You send material out to the site that the guys out there don't like, they're going to kick it aside and lose it, and then they're going to order what they want to come out there. All that material you order is going back to the shop and it's going to sit on your shelves. And we're going to solve that problem. Okay, so listen, I don't mean to be abusive, and I'm not trying to put anyone down. What I'm trying to say is that the field has a side in this equation too, and it's an important one, and you need to recognize it. So if we can just put egos aside for a minute, I'm going to lay out to you a system that makes that connection from the office to the field and produces a lot better results. I'm just so frustrated of getting sent out to projects and being forced to be mediocre, okay, because the office has all this. I've got it handled. We've got all this handled here in the office, and, you just go out there and watch that job get built. And while we sit here and watch our job go in the toilet. So the first crime that contractors commit against their crews is training. Now, I've worked for a lot of companies over the years, and exactly one provided any type of field management training. Most companies grab a journeyman by the shirt collar and say, hey, you're going to be a foreman now, and send him out to build a project. Most of these guys are pretty sharp, and they, have been around a while. They know how to install material, but they don't know how to, interpret and write schedules. They don't know how to coordinate their materials. They don't know how to keep their crews in line. It's just a lot of management type stuff that doesn't get taught to them. They just get thrown out on the job site and asked to perform. So training, in my opinion, is your first crime, and I think it's very important. Now, this will be a good time to tell you, I suppose, that I offer free training for foremen, a free training course. It's everything I think they need to know. Well, It's everything I want them to know if they're going to work underneath me. Okay? It explains, the psychology of the crew, how to deal with difficult people, how to get the most production out of them. Explains what an estimate is and all the components, gets into materials and how to have the right stuff on site at the right time. A lot of stuff like that. It's totally free. If you go down to the link of this video, you can click on it. You're welcome to take a look at it. We'll send you a video a day for 12 days. And at the end of those 12 days, you can come back here and tell me if I'm full of beans or not. Okay? It's down there. It's free. You can, if you're a contractor, you can share it out to your whole crew. You can sit them in your conference room and watch it with them if you want. Talk about it. But that's what I do with people on my site. I was just kind of frustrated with not having the right information for the guys who are being asked to perform those management duties in the field. And so I just put together the training that was important for me. And I don't care where you get your training, but you need to start training these field managers so that they understand what you're trying to accomplish and how you want to accomplish it. The second crime you're committing against your crews is information, the correct information, and enough information. Not only do they need information, but he or she, whoever is managing this project at the field level, also needs time to absorb some of that information. Okay, and you have a real bad habit of shooting someone out on a project to manage it on the day that it starts and expect them to be up to speed and running immediately. And what they end up doing is chasing the curve all the way through the project. They never get ahead because they're constantly answering questions and trying to gather the information that they need. And generally when they receive it, it's generally 2 days behind when they needed it. Okay? And so constantly they're chasing this curve trying to get ahead of their crews, and that is not efficient. Now this is a material list. And if I'm really lucky when I start a project for you, I may receive one of these. It's really a crapshoot. Might be 50-50 if I'm even going to see one or not. If I don't see it, then I have to create it myself. And that takes time. And that means I'm going to be chasing the curve, because the day I show up, you want me to get that thing moving and, get people organized and get them started installing material. And if I don't have this list, I don't even know if I have the right material on site. And it's kind of important because, as I already stated, you don't get paid unless that material gets installed. So it'd be nice to know what material you need to install, right? Now, although this is a material list, it's not a very good material list. I could go out to the Connex and walk through and count all the stuff laying all over the floor and up on the shelves, scattered across the shelves, make my own material list that way. It would resemble this right here. But I'd like to show you something a little better, and sometimes I get this better list. This is a material list broken up by phase of construction. Now we have a little more detail, right? I can see for each phase of construction what materials I should have on site. So when I, move into that different phase of construction, I can check and make sure all my materials are there. So now we're really making money, right? Wrong. Let me show you what I really want to see from you. This is a task level material list. It comes from a task integrated estimate. Yes, I know that's a lot more work, but stop your crying, because that's unbecoming for a man or woman of your age. Give me just a second and I'll show you why I want to see a material list at the task level. Dennis, do you ever light those cigars? No, I don't. Smoking is bad for you and I don't condone it. Now this is the first sheet of a task integrated estimate. It shows not only the material per task, but also the labor per task. Now I can use that labor, okay, to schedule my crew with and make very accurate predictions. And the reason it's so accurate is because it's so powerful. If I take that material list for that task and I give it to an individual worker or a crew of workers, and I tell them exactly what I want them to do, this is your task, and tell them exactly how long they have to complete it, and then follow that up by saying, if you succeed, you're going to be a hero. And if you fail, you're going to cost the company money. And then back that up by making them record their time against that task so that I know this is what the estimate said would happen. This is what really happened on my project. Okay, now they know that I'm keeping an eye on what's happening there. I might as well be standing right next to them while they're installing that material. You ever have someone on your project that worked real good when you're standing there, but as soon as you walked away, nothing seemed to happen? Well, things are going to happen now. It's like a big mystery how this works. It's just like, here's how much time you have to do it. And if you don't succeed, you're costing the company money. It just mysteriously gets done. They start using their time wisely because they know they're going to have to record their time against that task, and they don't want to tell on themselves for not succeeding. Okay? Now, this is where I hit the resistance, and I can hear you crying. I can hear you crying there in the background. Oh my God, you know, we can't do task integrated estimates for every project we got. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? You know how much time that's going to take? I'm not suggesting that you create a task integrated estimate for every project that you send out the door for quote, but I am telling you that you need to do one for every project that you build. Now, let me introduce you to a term you may not be familiar with, or perhaps you are familiar. Pre-construction management. Now, to some companies, that seems to be, you know, some guy or gal who, you know, applies for permits, organizes things. What's a project manager for? Okay, so I got good news for you. We can eliminate the project management title. We'll just get rid of them. send them down the road. Or let's convert them into pre-construction managers where they can set up all of this data and information that the crew needs to start that project and get it ready for them. I know it's going to mean a few less meetings. You know, I don't remember the last time I was in a meeting that even mattered. It's that bad. And you know what? I don't need meetings. I know what needs to happen on that project in order to turn a dollar. And I know what to do every day when I get there. And if you do what I suggest you're going to do, your field manager will know too. You don't constantly have to be writing his or her ass. Okay? They're going to take care of their own business. They're going to grow up. They're going to assume their responsibilities back. And they're going to manage that project at the field level. We don't need a project manager there to do that. Project manager shows up on my site. He's going to work for me. I'll give him some tasks to take care of. I don't need him there to tell me what to do. I already know what to do. I know what needs to be done. I know how to do it, when to do it, where to do it. Okay? So, very important that you create a task integrated estimate, details your material by task, and it details your labor by task. And that's the data you need to make a realistic schedule that your crews can keep up with. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So here's the first reason I want my materials and labor broken up by task. This is the site plan for this particular project, which is just a sample project that I put together. Side by side with the material breakdown. Now, the material breakdown is broken down by primary conduit, secondary conduit, cable TV, telephone, site lighting, okay, all the things, the tasks that are addressed on this drawing. I've already told you I'm not an egomaniac. And I know that on my team I have intelligent people. And I'm going to bring those people together in some type of a web meeting, or if I have the opportunity, I'll do it in a conference room somewhere, either on site or in the office. But we're all going to get together. We're going to throw this entire material list down next to the entire set of drawings, and we're going to go through it task by task. The reason I want to do this is because I want other people to have input on the type of material that we use, which of course will affect our labor, right, as well as our material costs. And I want to send the material out to the site that that team is actually going to use. I don't want to send material out there that they're going to kick aside or send back to the office. I want to give them what they want. I want everybody to have a voice in this. You know, me, whoever's managing the project on site, maybe the estimator, perhaps a purchasing agent, just anyone who is on that team that has, input into how we build this project. We're going to go through it page by page and material by material. Now, that sounds like a complex task, but it's really not, because a lot of these tasks are similar, right? So for your underground phase of construction, you're going to use similar materials. And once you go through one or two tasks, you're going to get the right flavor. And then you don't have to go through every task. You can just update the remaining tasks to match the two that you did go over. Above ground conduit, wire pulling, installing light fixtures, whatever. So I want to get that input from my team, and then what I'm going to do is go back over that estimate, and I'm going to make those edits, those changes in material, to match what we all agreed on. Now we're all building the same project. We all know what material we're going to use, why we're going to use it, and where it's going to go. And there shouldn't need to be any other discussion on materials after that, other than, purchasing it and getting it out to the site, okay? This is estimating software. There are other programs, and you may use one. You may be happy with it. This is what I use. It's Electrical Bid Manager by Vision Infosoft. I use it because it's very simple and straightforward. Now, I have built a task integrated estimate for every project I have managed in the last 30 years. Okay, I didn't rely on my project manager for this because I couldn't get the data that I wanted from them. So I created my own. I just sidestepped them and created my own. And another reason that I did that is because I value engineer my own drawings. I decide how I'm going to build that project and what material I'm going to use on that project. But if you had a pre-construction manager, okay, on your payroll, they would put this together. And I'm going to show you why, okay, in a minute. But let's just do a quick extension right here. And it's already set up. I have it broken down by phase of construction and tasks within those phases of construction. It's just a generic labor column 2. Once you use my methods, you'll understand exactly where you are in this list of labor columns. Not only which labor column you want to select, but you'll be able to adjust this right to the right percentage. So maybe your labor column 2 plus 12% is where you normally come in. You'll be able to figure that out. But I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit. Let's go ahead and extend this real quick. Okay, but personally I like my material broken out by phase of construction. So I'm going to clear these, and I'm just going to select our underground portion. We'll do both the feeder and branch conduit. And I'm going to select extension. Okay, so that's going to bring up a spreadsheet. This includes all of our underground materials for our project, and we're going to export this file. Click export. Now there's some selections we can make here. We're exporting it as a flat file. There are some software programs that you can export to. I'm going to select this one right here, which says Estimateguard. Now I'd like someone to surf over to my YouTube channel and tell me what it says there at the top. Okay, it says Estimateguard. This is my company, so I'm exporting this to myself basically. I'll click OK. Now I'm going to save this in download. And you can see that I already have a copy of it saved here in download, so I'm not going to bother to save it, but this is where I would put it. I'm going to cancel out of here. Now this is Construction Profitability Software by Estimateguard. You, contractors, did not provide me with software to manage my projects with, so I built my own. I took my high school education and I built my own software. It's web hosted. You can access it from anywhere you have a internet connection. So we're going to log in here real quick. Okay, now we're going to click on this construction cost tab. Now, do you have your own accounting software? Awesome. Delighted to hear that. This is not accounting software. It is cost tracking software. It's not for you. It's for me. You use your system, I'll use mine. This helps me keep track of my costs on site. You want me to help keep track of costs, right? This is a tool that I use for that. Okay? You don't have to have anything to do with it. It's all mine. Now I'm going to create a purchase order right here. And I'm going to import those materials. Okay, so for the underground phase of my construction, I have all my materials here on one nice, neat purchase order. I don't care what you do. You can write as many purchase orders as you need to. I understand you're going to go shopping for the best price, and that's great. I appreciate that. But when that material comes on my site, I need to be able to keep track of it somehow. And this is how I'm going to do it. It's in a purchase order format for smaller companies in case they don't have something set up and they would like to use it. But you don't have to use it. You can use whatever purchase order system you want to use. I don't care. As long as I have my material imported in here by phase of construction so that I can check it off as it comes in. Note how many were received so I will know how many parts are back ordered, and this is going to keep me from having to call your purchasing agent or project manager constantly and try and figure out what material I have on site and what material I don't have on site. It's very difficult to keep track of material on site once things start getting consumed. Workers go into the Connex, they grab material, they take it out to the field, they install it. Now, I don't know what I received and what I didn't, and I need to know weeks in advance that I have the material that I need for upcoming tasks. So I'm going to look out these days with the supply chain the way it is, at least a month, okay? And I'm going to say, what tasks am I going to be working on in a month? Do I have the material here for those tasks? Because if I don't, I need to start making some noise to find out where they're at and when they're going to be on site, just to confirm, okay? And this is a good way for me just to pop open my own purchase order, take a look at it, see what's been received, what's still back ordered, okay? And so that I can make sure I have the material in place on time when I'm ready to perform that portion of the work. So the third crime that contractors perpetrate against their own crews is not giving them the tools they need to do their job. This is one of those tools. All right, look, you've got your tools and I've got my tools. Okay? Use your tools. I don't care what tools you use, and let me use my tools. Let me use what I like, what works for me. You don't have to use my tools. If you want to borrow some of them, I'll be happy to lend you some. But if not, stay in your own lane, and I'll stay in mine. But let me use my tools, okay, so that I can build a profitable project and get it done on time. Now, I'm going to end this video here. Listen, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to import that data and create almost an automatic, task integrated, manpower loaded schedule that your crews can use, point and click, to assign tasks to their workers, okay, and keep track of what's happening on their project. I hope you'll come back and take a look. Thank you.